What's going on? What's going on, my good people? What's happening? It's your man, Johnny Hawkins. Hope everyone's having a decent day. Once again, we've made it to Hump Day. That's Wednesday, as we all know it. And just glad to be here. I've come on to talk just a bit about something that is been sort of pressing on my heart based on me counseling with people, but in particular parents. Parents that are my age and older, but primarily my age or younger. And in that counseling, what I see today as being a stress or a pressure, an unnecessary stress and pressure that many parents face. Uh, I'll be the first to admit that I too have faced that same pressure or stress. And the topic of discussion with regard to this stress is what? Question is simple. What do we as parents owe our children? What do we as parents, I mean, today in 2022, what do we owe our children? In particular, our adult children. Well, let's start with this. I think we can all agree. When they come to us by God's grace, we owe them love, security, that being financial and otherwise, the giving of their basic necessities, food, clothing, shelter, right? That's fair. That's what we owe them. You know, they are ours. They're given to us as a gift from God, and they come to us, right? So we owe it to them, I think, and I think that any good parent would agree. We owe them those basic necessities. We owe them that love. We owe them that security. We owe them, you know, financial support, right? And we do that with good cheer, right? And with a belief and a feeling that we're blessed to be able to do it. Because let's keep it real, there are people out there that cannot have children, that try and try and try, but are not able to have children. And so, for those of us that have had children, that do have children, and that were blessed with the gift of a child, it is a blessing. And most of us are grateful for it. So, yes, I do believe that every child given to us by God is a blessing, and that every child that we have, we owe it to them to be safe. Excuse me, we owe it to them to keep them safe, to keep them free from harm, to keep them secure, to provide love and support to them, you know, that is which is financial and concerning their basic necessities, and to, you know, just be the best parents we can, you know. But then there comes a time in all of our lives, it did for us as the Generation X group, as the children of the baby boomers, to grow up. So at that pivotal age of 18, where in law you become or reach the age of majority, what is the responsibility of the parent then and thereafter, as well as that of the child? The stress that I'm talking about, that I see oh so often and that pains me, is the unnecessary stress that I think parents, all of us, have at one point or another imposed upon ourselves to do more than we really should do, or that which is really in the best interest or would act in the best interest of our children. The bottom line is this: if we do too much, we enable our children. And if we enable our children, it's no good for them. Our parents, most of our parents, those that were members of the baby boom generation, they did not enable us. I think you all would agree. If we wanted something, we had to work for it. If we wanted something, we had to earn it. Yes, they took care of our basic necessities. They loved us, and they cared for us from 0 to 18. But after 18, for most of us, it was no hard feelings, but you have to fend for yourselves. Now, I don't mean that we have to be as extreme as our parents, but that's where the catch 22 comes in. I think for most of us in this Generation X group, we've maybe done a little too much. If we're honest with ourselves, we've done a little too much for our children. Why? Trying to make for them a better life than we had. But I think we've overcompensated in doing that. And as a result, you may or may not agree, but the majority do based on the clients that I speak to. And overcompensating for our children, those we love so much, those we see as blessings given to us by God, we have spoiled them. We've made them have this false sense of entitlement. And to be brutally honest, some of our children are just downright lazy. Now, the children who are adults now, they won't like that I'm saying this, but it's true. I had one adult person who was in the millennial generation, equal in age to my children, who was a female. I had her advise me of the following. I said, what should a parent do in my age or at my age for our children who are millennials like you? What's the best thing you think we can do or should do to help people of your generation, those in the millennial, improve and do their best? She blanketly said, or bluntly said, they got to come off the tit. Tit being breast. You can't breastfeed them anymore. That was her analogy. I got it. What did that mean? We as parents that are in the Gen X generation, for our children that we love, who are the millennials, we have to wean them and do a better job of doing that, because to do otherwise, we're not doing them any good. They're weaker. I believe the word speaks to every generation that comes, being weaker. They're less able to think for themselves. They're not as good of decision makers as they otherwise would be had we allowed them to live their own lives. Now, I'm not saying abandon your child. I would never say that. But what I am suggesting to all the parents that are my age, that are dealing with millennials now, that you think are still a little too comfortable, that you make it uncomfortable. That you go about the business, because you love them, of making life more uncomfortable for them if they're with you, or said another way, that you not make it so easy for you to be their plan B. We have to do that if we as parents truly love our children like our parents loved us, and we want them to grow strong and independent. If we are the source that they can always come to, no matter what. I'm not talking for the extremes. If your child becomes disabled and is physically unable or has a mental health issue, then no, you don't abandon your child. Of course, I'm not saying that. You welcome your child in, just like our parents would have welcomed us in. But if they have no physical disability, no mental health crises or situation, we don't make it that easy, or we should not, for them to just come back to the house. You have to make it not as comfortable for the child that you want to be an adult. You have to let them experience what I like to call growing pains. We all have experienced them. I have. Some of you have experienced it even more than me. Some of you, as a matter of fact, had no one that you could go to. Never after you turned 18, and even before the age of 18. But for those of us that have been blessed in the Generation X generation, to be blessed enough to have good jobs, to make good money, to live in beautiful homes, to come and go and vacation as much as we do, to be free, right? Freer than those that were in the baby boom generation, to be, able to just enjoy ourselves. Guess what? We earned that. What has happened, unfortunately, is our kids have felt that they are deserving of that too, but they've done no work. Yes, leave your child a legacy, but in the meantime, from 18 until the date you die, and that means from the the date they turn 18 until the date you die or called home. Don't make it easy for them. Be there and support them, love them, but don't be their ATM, their plan B, their, oh, I can always go back. You can't make it that easy if you're looking to have a child that is now an adult one day be truly independent. We as parents do our children a disservice if we make it that easy. So I'm saying, parents, it's okay to make things more uncomfortable for your child. That those that feel entitled now, it's partly our fault. And if we want to correct that, we need to come in with a heavier hand, but with love, to help them understand that we will not always be here. And if we're not here, but yet we've not trained them or taught them and advised them as to what they should be doing moving forward as independent persons, we're doing them a disservice. And they're going to fall and fail and crumble anyway. So get started now. Have the tough talks with your child. Help them understand that you are not going to always be here. And don't always be that easy fix, that plan B that makes them either lazy or feel entitled or feel, guess what? That I don't have to work hard because I'm good. Because they're not. We're not going to always be here. And good parents, like our parents, for the majority of us, they taught us that lesson. Why? Because they didn't make themselves as accessible all the time as we do ours. So we're not doing our children a good service. And some of us are not being, quote unquote, the best parents we could be because we're loving too hard. And I'll go as far as to say some of us are not allowing God to be God, to teach our children the lessons He wants them to learn. We have our lives, they have theirs. Let them live their lives and let them come to you when they need you. And of course, you should be there. But don't play God. We can't save our children. And our children need to work harder on saving themselves. By how? Being more independent, more responsible, better thinkers, and more productive. If we don't fix this now, Generation Xers, like I am, our 20-year-old children will turn to 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, and they will not know what to do. We don't want that. So nip it in the bud now, fix it, have the tough talks, and make them become responsible by what? Suffering and experiencing the consequences of their own actions and not always being there as their fallback and their plan B. This has been your man, Johnny Hawkins, with a message of love. Why? Because I wish each and every one of you better. And I see too much the unnecessary stress that parents are continuing to go through with adult children. It's time to help our children, if you have them, and if this message applies to you, grow up. They're past 18. They're past 22. Hell, some of them are in their 30s. Don't be the plan B. Take your ATM card back and you enjoy your life the way you should. Because guess what? You've earned it. As Bill Cosby once said in an episode, I'm rich, and talking to Theo, you're not. Let your child learn to become their own best selves. Of course, with you loving and supporting them as you should as a parent. But guess what? They're no longer your dependent. At 18, that stopped. They can make money on their own. Again, there are the exceptions. The mentally disabled, the physically disabled, okay? But for the rest, help them help themselves to be their best selves by becoming good adults, good and responsible adults. It's been your man, Johnny Hawkins, with a quick word, turning into 15 minutes. I apologize for that, but God said it was worth me giving it to you. Peace for now. God bless you. I'm out.